Good morning. I'd like to use this microphone to preach. I have a Japanese consultant who is proudly non-Christian. And he proclaimed that, of course, right at the very first conversation. He's a proud Japanese non-Christian. But at the same time, I have the inkling that he is in love. He wants to study and learn a lot about the Catholic faith. He is proceeding to the Philippines to study the Catholic faith. Specifically, he wanted to see how the faith is rooted in everyday life, in people's everyday lives. Specifically, he wanted to study Quiapo. We have a very popular devotion to Jesus Christ the Nazarene, Jesus Christ carrying his cross. That's so hugely, immensely popular that every January the streets of Manila, of central Manila, are closed for an entire day until the evening because the procession leaves at the day before and arrives the next day, returns back to the shrine in the evening, sometimes in the early morning, after winding through streets of people, packed, just to be able to touch that statue. So this Japanese unbeliever would like to see the workings of the Catholic faith in everyday life. I told you right from the start, I suspect this guy must be in love. Maybe in love with a Catholic woman. And that is why he would like to understand the workings of faith. Why do I say that the person is in love? I can see from a magic glass that this person is in love because he is doing the exact opposite of what he has intellectually proclaimed. He has intellectually proclaimed to be a non-believer in the truths, in the Christian truths. And yet, at the same time, he would go. He would risk everything to begin to understand something about what he does not intellectually assent to. That is the working of love. You may say, life is difficult. But also, falling in love is difficult because it will make you look the other way. It will make you understand another way. It is just like the very reality that Peter asked Jesus about. I have the suspicion that Peter is in love. Peter is in love when he asks this question, Lord, how many times should I forgive? Because if you're not in love, you will simply not forgive. Isn't it very easy? If you're not in love, someone offends you, someone says something against you, someone does something against you specifically, then you would dismiss that person. It's so easy. But to forgive, and to forgive again, and to forgive again, and again, and again, and Lord, how many agains? That was the question of Peter. How many times? I would like to say that it is a question proceeding from love. So Peter is not wrong in asking that question. In fact, we should follow Peter. Maybe even in our prayers. Lord, how many times should I forgive this person? The moment you say that, praise God. You are a step towards embracing the entire truth, reality proclaimed by Jesus, and that is to forgive. Because the answer of Jesus is metaphorical. The answer of Jesus was not 7 times, but 7 times 7. That saying, repeating 7, 70 times 7 times 7 times 7, means something in their language. It means eternity. It means infinity. It means not counting at all. Can we do that? It is not once but many times that I have heard that Christianity, our faith for that matter, is weak. It is weak precisely because it teaches forgiveness. It is a weak religion that forgives. I heard it from adherents of Hinduism. I heard it from adherents of Islam. I heard it from adherents of Buddhism. I also heard it from colleagues who do not adhere to any religion at all. Christianity is weak because it forgives. But if you ask the Christians, it is the total opposite. Forgiveness is strength. In fact, forgiveness is virtue. And virtue comes from the Latin root virtus, is strength. In fact, to excuse the women here, it's just about the function of language. Latin, as a very patriarchal language, it is a male-dominated language. So virtus, in fact, refers to manly strength. So to be a Christian is to be a man. To be a Christian is not only to be a man, but a strong person. And the strength of the Christian lies in the virtue of forgiveness. So quite the opposite of what is being claimed by others as a religion of weakness, Christianity teaches us the virtue of forgiveness. So perhaps we may ask, where do I get the strength to forgive? If forgiveness is a virtue, it is a Christian character itself. It forms me as a person. Then why is it difficult to forgive? And where do I get the strength to forgive? Just a single thought about the matter that perhaps may inspire us is to think of the object of forgiveness as the other. Why should I forgive? It is because it is my act of welcoming the other. Who is the other? The other may be sitting across you. That's the first thing we understand about the other. If you look around, you're not familiar with all the persons sitting around you. Of course, we say, these are members of the parish. These are my fellow Catholics in the parish of Surabaya, Redemptor, Mundi. Of course, you may be right, but this is largely an interparochial church. People from other parishes are here. Not only sitting with you, they're also serving the church. They are others. That is the first understanding that we have of the other. Someone you barely know. The second understanding of the other is a total stranger. Total stranger. And we are supposed to be hospitable even to total strangers. But the most important understanding of the other, the object of our hospitality, the object of our forgiveness, is this third one. The most important one. The most important other. And who is this? It is the voice of your conscience. Come to think of it, when we think of others, sometimes we think of other people. Other people. Someone not me. But the most important dimension in understanding the other is the voice of your conscience. That is other. That is why some people do not listen to conscience. Because conscience is irritable. It will tell you something. It will not make you sleep. It will always tell you the truth. It is within you. And yet sometimes, it is not you. Why? Because by its very definition, conscience is the voice of God within you. So it is within you, and yet it is not totally you. Because it is God speaking in your heart. That is your conscience. And when conscience speaks, I should listen. If I don't, I will be crazy, not listening to conscience. Because it is the voice of God telling me something, whether I like it or not. Obedience to conscience, therefore, will allow us to forgive. Come to think of it, it is not strange that all of us have already experienced the voice of conscience. We know that it is not our voice. We know that it is the voice of God gently speaking in our hearts. Gently. Sometimes not very gently. Especially when we do wrong. The voice of conscience is other. Par excellence, so to speak. And when we listen to the other, when we are hospitable to the other, we are hospitable to God. My brothers and sisters, to return to the question of Peter, Lord, how many times should I forgive? Jesus answers, you forgive perfectly. 7 times 7. You forgive according to love. Infinite, inscrutable, not countable. You forgive because that is the law of God, conscience. And the law of God is God's love written in our hearts.